if God doesn't play favorites. Then there's Romans 9:13, which says, quote, "As it is written, Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated," unquote. Why was the one placed over the other? In Isaiah 51:16, 52:6, and 63:8, we hear from God's own lips the phrase, "my people." But I thought all of humanity was God's people. And lastly, Jesus only adds to this mess by saying in Matthew 15:24, "I am not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel," unquote. According to him, he was only sent to the Jews. And if that's not playing favorites, what is? That completes today's listing of God's shortcomings, and we'll wrap up our enumeration in the next program. We'd like to conclude by reading a couple of sensitive letters sent to us several years ago by a current minister and one who no longer practices that trade. The first is from a former evangelist who states, quote, "Dear Dennis, Biblical Errancy has been very helpful to me. I subscribed last month, bought all of your back issues, and devoured them. I find I don't tire of rereading them, especially when I need ammunition. I have passed your address on to many interested people. I feel that the fact that I was a good Christian for many years gives me a certain insight into how the Christian mind works. I am no longer a Christian. My conversion from faith was painful and slow, and I think I have learned some things about why religion is so strong. Religious faith is an extremely strong and powerful thing. It can dominate one's whole world view, one's total frame of mind, and one's ability to reason correctly. I was raised in a Christian home and led a Christian life. I felt fortunate to have been born into what I felt was the truth. In fact, I decided it was worth a life of commitment. I went to Bible college, majored in religion and philosophy, became an ordained minister, spent 2 years of missionary work, a few more years in full-time traveling evangelism, and went on to write much Christian music, which has been published by various Christian companies and is still reaching around the world. I used to be very proud of my work. I didn't feel restricted. I prayed daily, was responsible for the conversion of people to Jesus Christ, and motivated many young persons to consider full-time Christian service. There's a large number of Christian workers who consider me instrumental in their encouragement to become ministers. But those days are gone. I've changed my mind. I can't tell the whole story here, but I can say that it was a difficult transformation. My whole frame of reality had to be restructured. The whole fabric of existence seemed to tear to shreds. Yet it was a very positive experience, motivated by reason and nothing else. Most of my Christian friends and relatives, which are many, can't seem to grasp what has happened to me. They miss the point. They try to point their finger at some underlying reason why I changed. They suggest pride, disappointment, guilt, bitterness, attacks by Satan, and various other inventions. They never want to face the rational issues I raise, but instead want to find a way out through some hidden motivation on my part. I can't possibly be correct, they assume, so there must be some little sin hiding somewhere that if we could find it, should be excised. But I understand them. I used to do the same thing. No amount of reasoning would have convinced me of the fallacy of Christianity at that time. If I wasn't a Christian, then no one is. But I have put Christianity and the Bible to the test, and they don't hold up. Not without the props of blind faith. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is hope. If it happened to me, it can happen to others. It was hard, but I managed to reason my way up and out of a very strong faith, all the while resisting. If I had been presented with your publication 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't have read more than a couple of sentences. Now I keep your issues in a special file, unquote. That was a personal testimonial from Dan Barker, one of the founders of the Freedom from Religion Foundation in Madison, Wisconsin. Perhaps you've seen him on the Phil Donahue or Sally Jessy Raphael TV shows, or read one of his books, especially the one entitled Losing Faith in Faith. In conclusion, a sympathetic minister in McCalla, Alabama, wrote us a nice letter stating, quote, "Almost 7 years ago, I was ordained as a deacon at a local Baptist church after going through the motions, quote unquote. I found myself engaged in heated debate defending the inerrancy of the Bible. After coming to grips with the fact that I wasn't sure the Bible was inerrant, I began a self-study of the subject. In just one evening, I found a dozen problem passages that troubled me. Since my ordination, I have restructured my way of thinking and have come to conclusions that are not popular with those here in the Bible Belt. Thanks for your efforts and your research. It's greatly appreciated and needed," unquote. That completes our presentation, and please join us later for the 12th edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, when we'll conclude our listing of God's shortcomings and continue showing why the Bible is nothing more than the flawed composition of some fallible human beings. Thank you for listening.